Hey, what's up, everybody? How's it going?
Hey,
Very
pretty good.
good.
How about
Very
you?
good. Good, thanks. Good. We got another week, another installment of the Disney Co. in the Know Wizarding World edition. I am Bruce. I'll be your host, and I am joined by Disney Co. in the Know contributors Steven
Hey everyone.
and Jake
Hello.
and Hannah.
Hey, y'all.
And tonight we are going to be talking about Hogwarts Castle as a queue at Universal Orlando for the ride Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. And for those of you who are new to this show, what we do is essentially use Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone chapter by chapter to help guide us in the Wizarding world. So we'll talk briefly about events, plots, and characters from the chapter that we read that week, and then we talk about how the Universal Orlando Wizarding World adapts the book to real life for us as visitors and guests. So that is pretty much the show, this edition of Disney Co. in the Know. Do you guys have anything to add to that? Did I
I think
cover
you did a
that?
pretty good job of describing it there.
Absolutely.
So
And I'd love to get us started off with a quick summary of our chapter 8, if that's good with everybody.
I would love that. Let me just say real quick, though, that the show is sponsored by 407 and Beyond Vacation Company, Disney and Universal experts that help plan your family's perfect vacation. So all you have to do is show up, have fun, and create family memories. And as always, our services are free to you. So check us out on the web at www.407vacations.com. So Hannah, thanks for letting me give word to the sponsor, which is our vacation company. And please give us a rundown of Chapter 8 of the Sorcerer's Stone, and we'll get right into the Wizarding World.
All right, so chapter 8 kind of picks up and they're headed off to their first week of classes. Harry is wandering around. He is completely lost in Hogwarts. A little fun fact that they mentioned, I believe, is there is 142 staircases, I believe they say. And these staircases move all around and they make it extremely difficult to get to class. So in the midst of fighting crowds of people, staircases, everyone gawking at him because he's famous Harry Potter and trying to juggle all of the new parts of magic, Harry's having a pretty tough week. He meets a lot of our characters that we're going to see way throughout the book. You've got Peeves the Poltergeist, you've got Nearly Headless Nick, who are the ghosts, some helpful, some not. You've got the professors, McGonagall, who is firm and you do not cross her, and she assigns tons of homework on the first day, which is not a surprise at all. You've got Binns, who is a ghost. He teaches history of magic, and he's so old, one day he got up from his chair in the teacher's lounge and he left his body behind and went on as a ghost and just kept on teaching. So he's killing it with the history of magic classes, still rocking and rolling. And then we have Flitwick, who we'll kind of see throughout, teaching charms, and then Snape, the potions master, the one that the chapter is named after. So we have Snape, who welcomes them all into potions class, and he sees Harry's name on the list and is immediately just tries to start basically embarrassing him in front of everyone because he's this famous Harry Potter and Snape is trying to prove that he doesn't know anything. So he throws all of these questions at him, what's a bazaar and what do these plants do and what does this potion do and all of this stuff. And Harry's like, I don't know. And Hermione's sitting over there trying to answer all the questions. And Snape then kind of goes on to take points away from Gryffindor for things that aren't Harry's fault, but he makes them Harry's fault. And you can see that there is going to be lots of tension between the Gryffindors and the Slytherins, especially with Snape as the head of the Slytherin house. And so they have a pretty rough time in Snape's class, but they head to Hagrid's afterwards for a cup of tea and learned that someone tried to break in and steal the mysterious package that Haggard took from the vault in Gringotts when they went on Harry's birthday.
All right, very good. Yeah, when you're reading that, I can so picture the movie scene when Snape walks in and starts asking questions, and Harry doesn't know the answer, and Hermione's sitting there with her hand up. And it just made me think of all the teachers that I had that were kind of like that. So I felt like I could appreciate where Harry was at. So.
Yeah, and I think they did a really good job portraying Snape in that scene in the movie, like from the books. he's this mysterious guy and he's cold, and Alan Rickman does a phenomenal job. I do not think they could have cast that role any better for the movies, so I'm really happy with the way that he portrays Snape just right from the get-go.
Yeah, I love the way Alan Rickman delivers those lines, right? Clearly famous and everything, and if Harry had read the books a little bit more thoroughly, he probably would have been able to answer some of those questions. So
on the first day, that's rough.
Deserved.
I would like to disagree. The only person who could answer those questions was Hermione. And then, actually, I don't think it happens in the book. I think it's just in the movie that Snape calls her an insufferable know-it-all, which I feel like was a nice addition to the movies, because it really sums up kind of, he's making fun of Harry for not knowing anything, and then Hermione knows it and he calls her an insufferable know-it-all. But I guess I'm letting my opinion of Snape maybe taint my reading a little bit.
That was a good
I thought that might have been from a different book or chapter or something when he calls her an insufferable know-it-all.
Oh, maybe it is.
I was thinking it was in this scene in the movie, but now that you mention it,
she acts like one frequently, so
it could happen anywhere.
Situations.
Well, still, much love to Hermione, though.
Yeah.
She comes fully prepared all the time. But I do want to say that he says it here in this scene, but I don't want quoted with that. So, all right. Do you guys have anything you want to add to Hannah's synopsis?
I think you covered most of the stuff. You talked about them going to Haggard's and having tea and all that. You left out the delicious rock cakes that they got to eat.
I did. I also left out the fact that Haggard sends Harry mail to invite him to tea, because Harry hasn't gotten any mail from anyone and all the other students do.
Oh, Haggard's MVP again.
Oh, he is. He wins every time.
For those new to the show, I always say that Haggard's my favorite character of every chapter. So
even the chapters that he's not in
there. Right, even the chapters he's not in, unless it's Diddliest Diggle. So he's the only guy who can beat Haggard for my favorite character. So let's.
I like this chapter's. They still get to describe Quirrell a little bit, and it's just kind of funny that he's staying in character. He turns pink, he gets embarrassed, changes the subject, talks about the weather.
It's like me on camera.
Smells like garlic, right? Yeah, it's just it's just funny they keep describing him this way, and it's he's first time going through the story, totally would not suspect him of anything useful at the end. So
not at all.
It makes you wonder. I'm not sure if it's ever actually brought up or clarified 100%, but like how much of his stuff did he actually do? Like someone asks him about a vampire and he kind of changes the subject, like when they ask for details about it, So is he like kind of like Gilderoy Lockhart in that sense, that he's created this whole fictional past, or did he actually do it and he just doesn't want to talk about it because he's got other stuff going on with Voldemort on the back of his head? And
that is a really good question. I hadn't really thought about that reading through it, but I think you bring up a really good point. Like he supposedly went off to Romania and saw vampires and zombies and whatever, but we all know that he actually met up with Voldemort. So did he just make up that he saw those things in the end? It's a great question. We'll never know.
I would assume he's actually diabolical, because he gets pretty nasty towards the end of the movie when he goes to choke him and things like that. So
I think he might be a Lannister.
Yeah, I like to think he knows what he's doing.
That's very true. Yeah, I forgot. I slipped my mind that, he kind of loses the stutter at the end, and it definitely is all an act. That was a really good point.
Yeah, I'm really big into the just real quick 30-second tangent here, or side tangent. I really like the show The Last Kingdom on Netflix, and one of the main characters is this actor whose name escapes me at the moment. But I didn't realize that until like season 2 of this show, and he made this offhand comment, and he wasn't. I don't think he was screaming, but I like instantly went, "Oh my God, who is this guy? It's so recognizable, this voice." And it hit me, "Oh my gosh, he's Professor Quirrell." So I had a fun moment with that. So, but let's use that useless story to transition to our Universal spotlight. So how Universal Orlando and the Wizarding World translates and takes our Harry Potter universe from the novels into real life theme park atmosphere. And I think today a good discussion would be inside Hogwarts Castle for the queue of Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. Because this is the first time that we're getting to explore the castle a little bit and kind of learn what's there and go to Haggard's Hut. So let's talk about the queue that is for Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, which is inside Hogwarts Castle over there. So who wants to start off and start talking about this queue? I will say, though, before somebody does, this is one of the better queues that's out there. In recent years, there are some that have surpassed this queue, but this is a really cool queue. So someone take the wheel and get us started talking about this.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think Gringotts queue is a little bit more specific, but Hogwarts is just so nostalgic. We get a little bit of a tour in the book, kind of going through the castle and so forth. And, the castle really comes alive and it's interactive. And I just, there's so many things to see along the way. And I'll let you guys talk about that. But I just love that the paintings come to life and they talk to you and they're all moving around. And you can see the fat lady as the entrance to the Gryffindor Tower. And just the paintings kind of telling their stories and talking to each other. It just really makes the castle feel alive, and it's just hilarious. I love that part.
It's a cool detail. It recreates that that sense of magic and wonder, as you're going into it. It replicates the experience that Harry gets in this chapter of moving staircases and secret passages and stuff, and you're walking through here and the paintings are actually talking to you. That's super cool.
It absolutely is. And I think that one of the things that is so incredible at this, I know we've talked in some previous episodes about seeing the castle and how seeing the castle is such a huge moment for Harry Potter fans, but getting to go into the castle and the actual inside of the castle mirroring what the books have as part of the queue for this ride is incredible. I love it because as you walk through, you're going through the halls, you get to see some areas that are more down in the dungeons where the potions classroom is, and the Mirror of Erised and stuff like that, way down in the dungeons. You get to wander through the greenhouses where they talk, in this chapter and on many chapters forward about having classes in the greenhouses, and you've got the plants that move and sing, and it's just, you feel like you're in Hogwarts, and they do such a good job with the moving pictures and the different inventions and the plants and all of that stuff, making you feel like you're actually there and the castle is alive and moving just like the actual castle moves in the books.
Absolutely. And while you're on to plants, one of the first, I'll call scenes in the queue is actually going through the herbology section and herbology greenhouse, which is just a really nice touch because it takes place outside before you get into the physical castle inside the building queue portion of this. So I really like the herbology greenhouse. I think that's really cool. It does get particularly hot in that section of the queue. If you're waiting outside on a hot day, they do have fans and misters out there. But it's always nice because there's a drinking fountain right before you go inside, and then you get some AC. So you do move in from the herbology section. You do move into this hallway. And a neat thing about the hallway is that it has I don't know what you would call it, but where the cylinders that have all the house points. And that's kind of cool because we don't really get to see that in the movie, although we read about it in the book. So that was kind of a nice adaptation for fans who know that to keep points in these cylinders that we don't get to, experience in the movies, but we get to see it in this queue. So I really like that. So what else about this queue are we liking?
Well, you mentioned.
Go ahead, Jay.
I was going to say, you mentioned the greenhouses, and of course that's one of the classrooms. But we get another classroom. We get the Defense Against the Dark Arts room, where we get to see some cool stuff like the skeleton that hangs from the ceiling in the movies. We got a chalkboard with some stuff written on it. I think it mentions Expecto Patronum, which is obviously a very important spell for Defense Against the Dark Arts. So it's cool to be able to see, not just the halls and the generic stuff of the school, but the specific classrooms where this stuff actually takes place.
I think one of the really cool things that they do too is they include bits from each like book and movie, so you're not just necessarily walking through like year one Hogwarts. You know, like they've got the Expecto Patronum spell up there. They've got the pensieve in Dumbledore's office. I believe they may have had some potted mandrakes in the greenhouse. So there's like little like fun tidbits from each year spread throughout the castle, which I think is really cool just to pick up on all those fun little things as you go.
Let's talk about how cool it is to be in Dumbledore's office, because I didn't mention it right off the bat. I was waiting to see if someone was going to mention it. So I'm glad you did, because Dumbledore's office is my favorite part of this queue. It has so many details. It just feels special to think that, hey, that is where Dumbledore sits or sat. And to me, that's my favorite part of the queue. So is this your guys' favorite part of the queue? If not, what is your favorite part?
I would say my favorite part is either the hall with all of the portraits in it, because it's so fun. Like they have all of the founders up there and different characters and stuff. So I think that that's really cool because it really feels like a piece of Hogwarts, and it's something that you don't necessarily, it's not like a clip right out of the movies, but you feel like you're getting more into the books. But I also really love the Gryffindor common room, just because like it seems like such a mundane place, but like what makes up Hogwarts is the four houses, and getting to walk through the common room and feel like a student in the common room is something I really enjoy.
Yeah, I liked Dumbledore's office, but I like that they have a lot of scenery or places where you can actually take pictures, like the entrance to Dumbledore's office and the statue of, what is that, a griffin, right? Where the staircase would be revealed from the movies or the books, just to be able to take a picture there, or a picture in front of like the cylinders with the house points. The fat lady, the Mirror of Erised. They definitely have those moments. Again, like Jake said, not generic stuff that make it feel like the castle from the movies, and you can take those pictures there. And that's kind of what I like, is just the small, unique things along the way. Probably not one room in general, just all those different moments where you can stop and say, hey, I really recognize that.
Yeah. So your favorite thing is all the nostalgic aspects of the queue, which that makes total sense to me. Jake, what about you?
I kind of touched on it earlier, so I'm not going to spend too much time going on and on about it. But I think it is the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom for me, just because that's a classroom that has so much like personality of its own throughout the series. You know, it's the only one that sees like constant turnover in teachers, so we get to see it evolve throughout the different professors and stuff. You know, different professors focus on different things and specialties and subjects in there, and it's just where a lot of stuff takes place. It's a really important room as far as the series is concerned.
One of the things I love about what they do in the Defense Against the Dark Arts room and Dumbledore's office is they have like pre-recorded holograms of the actor who plays Dumbledore and then Harry, Ron, and Hermione, like in character as them talking to you and interacting with you, which I think makes it also feel so much more alive and realistic, because they like shed the invisibility cloak and start talking to you. And so you feel like you're at Hogwarts and interacting with the students too, which is really cool. And I love that they incorporated the holograms along with the actual like physical aspects of the queue.
Yeah, that's so true. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about this queue? I will say that the queue is so good. It's definitely part of the experience of the attraction, Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, and the ride lives up to the queue. So in another episode of this, in another installment, we will talk about Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey as a ride and take you through all the ride scenes. But today we're focusing in on the queue, and I will say that the ride lives up to this great queue. But I will leave it open if you guys have anything else you want to add about it.
Yeah, one little thing that I would have liked to see. I don't know if it would have been possible, but we talked about the moving staircases earlier, and like little details. There's 142 of them or whatever. It would have been really cool to see some staircases worked into it a little more, just because I feel like that's a pretty iconic part of Hogwarts. That scene in the first movie where there's all the staircases moving around and stuff. I don't know how that would have worked, so I can't like blame them for not putting that in, but I just think that would have been a really cool addition if it could have worked.
Yeah, I agree. That would have been a cool addition. I do kind of wish that was in there. So now that you mentioned
like the trick step. halfway up the staircase.
Might have been a little annoying for riders.
I feel
Definitely
like
a safety hazard.
they could have done something really cool with like a distant perspective. So done like very small ones, but up high to make it look like you're standing way underneath them. And then they would have been moving, but not had to worry about the safety aspects for, the queue guests. So who knows? Maybe they'll renovate and add something.
I think that's a good idea, and that's what I had in mind when Jake had mentioned that using some forced perspective where you're looking up, and the staircases are really small. That would be cool, and they could just like be moving back and forth, motorized. That'd be pretty neat.
Well, hey, someone get Universal on the phone. We got a great idea for them.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, hey, they do have some downtime right now to do some renos, so we'll make a call. So, all right. So in this chapter 8, the students also go down to Haggard's Hut. So let's briefly talk about Haggard's Hut over in the queue for Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. So I know that's a separate attraction, but we do get Hagrid's Hut here in this queue. So let's just briefly touch on this one point. So I will say that this attraction sits behind Hogsmeade and the castle. So you're kind of in the queue, and Hogwarts and Hogsmeade's on your left-hand side, and so is Haggard's Hut. And outside of Haggard's Hut, kind of has this double hut going on, and then outside is all of his vegetables, especially pumpkins, and they all look like they're half eaten. So do you guys have anything you want to mention about this? I did want to make sure we touched on it since the students definitely were there in the chapter.
That scene, or that the way it's portrayed in the queue, especially reminds me of Prisoner of Azkaban. All the stuff with Buckbeak going on. That's what it really made me think of with the pumpkins, especially when they're back there trying to keep them hidden and stuff like that.
Yeah, I would say that they probably took that theming from Prisoners of Azkaban. Don't you guys think?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, that outdoor scene for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't go in it. You only see it from the outside. So there's only so much we can discuss about it. But I did want to make sure we gave it some love. So anything you guys want to add to Haggard's Hut inside Motorbike Adventures queue? No, yeah, there's not much to add, so I'm with you.
Not as many details or
no.
anything like that. It's a cool walk. It's really cool.
It is.
It just doesn't have all the little things that the Hogwarts one has.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, 100%. So, all right, so let's transition out of Universal. Yeah, it's been that kind of day. So Universal Orlando, I'm just learning how to speak. And let's transition to Warner Brothers Studio Tour. So that takes place in London. And this is the movie sets of these famous iconic scenes from the movies and the books. Almost everything inside the queue for Forbidden Journey is a movie set at Warner Brothers Studio Tour. I'm not going to go through everything that's in the tour. We will save that for later episodes and installments of this show. So I want to talk about two scenes very briefly. 2 movie sets, excuse me. One is the model castle. And so this model castle is at the end of your tour. So we spent about 4+ hours on this tour. This hit about hour 3, and you walk into this big room, and there's this model castle of Hogwarts, and it includes everything: Haggard's Hut, Whomping Willow, the forest, all the way down to the boat dock where Professor Snape dies. Spoiler alert. Yeah, spoiler alert came a little late there.
Just a little.
Just say that before you give the
before. So I thought, okay, I was going to keep joking about that. So really cool model castle. It is 1:24 scale. It is 50 feet in diameter. So this is not just walking in and it's like this Hogwarts castle made of Legos, right? We're talking. It is a big room, and you walk around the room and around the castle. So just 50 feet in diameter. They do change the lighting in this exhibit so that you can see the castle in the nighttime and the daytime. And so every 4 minutes, the lighting changes from light to dark. And it is covered in snow. So it is a snowy scene that they have set there at the model. Another fun fact is that there's 2,500 fiber optic lights on this model, and it was used for parts of filming. So
do they have any scenes set up on the model for you to see as you're walking by, like any scene, like, you know, them, you know, fighting, them throwing snowballs at Malfoy and Harry's hiding under the cloak? Do they have anything like that set up on them?
Good question. And the short answer is unfortunately no. So there's no like figurines of characters or anything like that. It's all just environment and the castle and the grounds. So, but it is really, really impressive. And it's so funny because you know it's a model, but when you're there looking at it, it's like, oh, that's it. It's only 50 feet in diameter, but it just feels like, oh, that is Hogwarts. It is down to the most minute detail, and it is really cool. So I did definitely want to mention that. Anything you guys want to mention about the model castle? Or ask?
Just for a real quick point of clarification, did you say 50 feet or 15 feet?
Oh, 500 feet in diameter. No, I'm joking. No, 50. So
okay, that's
it's pretty big.
big.
Yeah. Jake, you are a Lego expert, right?
I don't know if I'd say expert.
Okay, so you are a Lego master?
Fan.
Let's go fanatic. Okay, Lego fanatic. How big is approximately is the Lego version of the castle?
The biggest Lego version of Hogwarts, I think, is around 3 feet, maybe.
Okay.
Like from one, like at its longest point.
Okay. So for our
that'd be my
viewers
best
and listeners, just imagine Lego Hogwarts plus 47 feet, right? So it's pretty big. So as you'll see with the photos in this video. So the other touch point I wanted to talk about real quick in this tour is Snape's potions office down in the dungeons. You get to walk in it, not all the way in it. There's certainly a railing, but it is really cool to be down there. They have Snape's costumes. It is dark, and it is just a really cool place to be. So obviously, the movie sets at Warner Brothers Studios tours are so much more in depth than Universal Orlando, but that's not a knock on the Wizarding World whatsoever. I mean, these are the authentic movie sets. And Universal Orlando does a great job of adapting movie and book to real life theme parks. So when you're looking at these photos in this video and you're like, oh, wow, that's even way above and beyond Universal, of course, because that's the actual movie set. So in other episodes, we'll talk about Dumbledores Office, which we talked about in the queue, and a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, that's all I have to add on Warner Brothers Studio Tour. Do you guys have anything you want to add to what I said, or ask any questions about that? Do you get to mix any potions while you're there? No, you don't, unfortunately. So.
Is it just geared towards Snape, or do they throw some Slughorn stuff in there as well? Because we do see him as a potions master, book 6.
Yes, good question. And the answer is yes, they do. They also, at least when I was there, they had Snape's outfit and Slughorn's outfit. So they give, homage to both potions professors. So yeah. So anything else? We're good. Burned out of Warner Brothers Studio Tour for this segment. So let's wrap up the show forecasting what we have coming up. So we call this the divination section, just where we're doing some forecasting of what happened in this chapter or what we discussed at Universal that's going to come back and we're going to see it again. So Stephen, why don't you kind of give us our first one?
Sure. I just have a small piece of information of some masterful teaching by our potions professor here. One of the questions that Professor Snape asks Harry is about a bezoar. like stone found in the intestine of a goat or something. And this
Which where else would it be, right? I mean,
Naturally.
Naturally.
Very true.
Stone in the stomach of a goat, right?
Absolutely. But this is something that can be taken to help remedy most poisons, and it actually comes up in the 6th book when Ron is poisoned in Slughorn's office, and Harry gives him the Bezoar to kind of save his life, and it's thanks to Snape. We find out in book 6 why he remembers it so well, but just the fact that this professor is bringing it up so early on in day 1 just really kind of shows that he knows his stuff.
Yeah, and actually the other things that he quizzes Harry about make appearances in the series as well. Not quite in as big of roles as that, but we see, was it Wolfsbane is the potion that
Yes.
Lupin needs to take to suppress his werewolf symptoms. And let's see, what's the other one? Draw of Living Death comes up at the start of book 6. That's what Slughorn has to make as the contest for the Felix Felicis. So a lot of foreshadowing with those.
That's a lot of foreshadowing just in that one scene. But
You think that was planned?
I don't know. That's
Should have gone back to it or something like, what kind of potions have I mentioned before that I can use for this book? But I feel like we've talked about it a lot on the podcast so far. There's a lot of little things that have been planned out really far ahead already. So it wouldn't shock me if she planned from the beginning to use them all.
Sure.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me either. I do have a question I want to pose to you guys, and I know we're not medical experts, but does a Bezoar help fight off COVID-19? Do we think it would?
I personally would say no, because it's specifically supposed to cure all poisons, correct? Whereas this is a virus, not a poison.
Okay.
That would be.
You had to go technical on us.
I did.
So, all right, very good. Does anyone have anything else they want to add before we wrap up the show?
I don't think so. Nope.
All right.
I think sometimes Steven and I are going to have to duke it out over Snape, but we'll save that for a later episode.
Just to clarify, Hannah, I know Steven is a huge fan of Snape, so I'm guessing that you are not.
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. Well, that will definitely have to be on one of these episodes.
You must not have finished the last book yet, then.
Oh no, I finished it. A long time ago. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I have many thoughts on that we can discuss later.
Okay.
Well, I hope that Jake and I are here to see you guys duke it out over that. So
might have to join moderators.
Right. So, all right. Well, excellent. So, Steven, Jake, Hannah, thanks for being on tonight's show, covering Universal, Warner Brothers, specifically Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey Q. For those watching and listening, please subscribe to our channels on iTunes and on YouTube. Comment in the sections below what you like about the queue, what you like about the ride, anything that's Wizarding World related. And if you've been a Warner Brothers Studio Tour, let us know. Let us know what you thought about it. What did I get right? What did I get wrong? We would love to hear from you. So follow us on Facebook at 407 and Beyond Vacation Company. And to stay in the know with the latest Disney and Universal news and podcasts, check out our articles at www.407vacations.com/in-the-know. So guys, stay well, stay healthy, and I will see you in episode 9. All right?
See you in 9. Thanks for having us.
All right. See you later, guys. Bye.
Bye.